to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into a complex situation. Lots of sources coming across our desk about the rising U.S.-Iran tensions after those recent airstrikes.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
It really is. Our job here is to sort of cut through that noise, give you the essential takeaways, and help make sense of these global events and, well, their ripple effects.
And what's really striking is just how quickly these big geopolitical moves, they hit home, they impact markets, security, even how communities feel.
Exactly. We'll connect those dots. So let's jump in. The sources point immediately to the markets. Right after the airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites, we saw these safe haven moves.
Right, safe haven. So basically, investors get nervous. They pull money out of riskier things like stocks and put it into assets seen as safer, like the U.S. dollar.
Okay.
We saw the dollar gain, 0.25% against the yen. Global stocks dipped. It's a classic sign of unease.
And oil prices.
Ah, yes. Oil surged, jumped to about $79 a barrel, a 5-month high. That tells you the market is worried about supply disruptions, about a broader conflict in the Middle East.
Which brings us to Iran's reaction. Sources say they're vowing all options in response. And crucially, even talking about blocking the Strait of Hormuz.
That's the big one.
It is. So what does that actually mean for global energy, for everyone listening?
Well, the Strait of Hormuz is, it's incredibly important. It's this narrow channel. Something like 20% of the world's total oil flows through there every day.
20%. Wow.
Yeah, about 21 million barrels daily. So even the threat of blocking it sends shockwaves. It's a major lever Iran could potentially pull.
And this obviously has diplomatic fallout too, right? Beyond just the markets.
Absolutely. You saw China's UN envoy, for example, quoted as saying these strikes damage U.S. credibility. It raises international questions, definitely.
Okay, so we've got market jitters, strategic threats, international criticism, but this isn't just happening over there. The sources mention the DHS, Homeland Security, issuing a heightened threat advisory right here in the U.S.
Correct. And that's not just vague language. It points specifically to potential cyber attacks, think critical infrastructure, and also the risk of extremist violence.
So what does that look like? Are we seeing changes?
We are. Sources mention increased security checks, more visible patrols, particularly in big cities. New York, L.A., D.C. are named. It's about enhancing security posture, which people might notice in their daily lives.
Right, a tangible effect. And then there's the human side, often gets overlooked. The sources look at the Iranian-American community, specifically in LA's Little Persia. Reactions are mixed.
Very mixed, yeah. And it's such an important layer to this.
Yeah.
You have some people, some Iranian-Americans who actually welcome the strikes. They see it as necessary pressure on the regime back in Iran, maybe even hope for change. But then you have others in the same community expressing, deep anxiety. They're worried about escalation, about war, about the impact on family back home, or even potential backlash here.
So completely different perspectives side by side.
Exactly. It really shows how these huge global events land so differently, even within one community that's directly connected. It's complex, personal.
So wrapping this up, we've seen these U.S. actions send ripples, really, through global markets, trigger international pushback, raise security alerts domestically, and even divide opinions right within communities here.
It really underscores how interconnected everything is, doesn't it? An airstrike somewhere distant. Well, it can affect your investments, the security you see on your commute, the conversations happening in your neighborhood, all within hours.
It makes you think.
It really does. And maybe that's the question for you, the listener, to think about. How do these big, seemingly far-off events actually touch down and maybe quietly, or not so quietly, shape things right where you live? The perspectives, the concerns, the daily realities.